What is up, guys? Good morning. It's Stas here. Hope you all are doing well today. In this video, we're going to break down the futures market, what everything is looking like today on the 16th of March. And I also want to go over what stocks I'm watching this morning. I have about 6 to 7 here that I'm keeping a close eye on. And maybe, just maybe, I'm looking to buy a little bit of these. So make sure to go down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and hit that like button. And let's just get right into it. And what we have right here are the S&P futures, also known as the E-mini S&P futures, and the ticker on these is /ES, not CS, ES, /ES, and currently they're up 0.1%, up about 3 points. So not much movement pre-market here when it comes to the S&P. And granted, I am filming this with 2 hours left to the market open. It's currently 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast, so a lot could change. But what we are seeing as of now on this 5-day, 5-minute is, okay, take a look at this. If I remove this and extend it to the right, or redraw it rather, we can see we broke out of this wedge that was yesterday, right? That was a very good sign. We broke out of this wedge on the 5-day, 5-minute. That was very good for the bulls. We ended up going to 39.60, ultimately 39.64 here on the futures. And you guys know the S&P index hit an all-time high yesterday at 39.70. That was right before the close of the market. And we saw a massive move in the last 20 minutes when it comes to the S&P. And going back to those futures, you can see they're struggling a little bit. Despite us breaking out of the wedge yesterday, we're still struggling a little bit between 39.60 and 39.64, right? We got hit there yesterday at 3:50 p.m. on that massive move in the futures market here, right? Also yesterday at about 10 p.m. throughout the middle of the night at 3 a.m. we failed at 39.65, and now again with about 2 hours left, real time as we speak, we're getting rejected at about 39.62. Now we're trading at 39.60. You guys can see the rejection right here. So in my opinion, guys, this is setting up for another rally, and I could be wrong, but I think the next time we test, we're going to rip out of 36 or 39.65, and maybe we go up 10, 20 points from there, followed by a pullback. But for me, just the way I'm seeing this, guys, this is starting to look pretty bullish. I mean, look, the ascending triangle is clear as day here on the intraday chart for the S&P futures. We have resistance again at 39.60, 65, but we're uptrending into that resistance, making higher lows throughout the low 39.50s, mid 39.50s, and now if 39.60 holds as a higher low, we rip right out. The way that ascending triangle would play out is we're going to break right out of 39.65, and we're going to hit a higher high. So that's kind of what I'm watching here on the intraday chart for the S&P futures, and keep an eye on the 5-day, 5-minute chart as well. And overall at 39.60, 65, that is a pretty big resistance. So what are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments as always. And when it comes to the tech-heavy NASDAQ, the NASDAQ futures, they're up. They're actually up 0.5%. Which is interesting. You know, we saw a big drop in tech over the past month, right? Since it's rebounded a bit, but it's still down. It's still off the lows, unlike the Dow and the S&P. In fact, both the Dow and the S&P, they hit all-time highs recently, right? Dow might have hit an all-time high yesterday. Same with the S&P. NASDAQ is not quite there yet. So I believe we might, keyword is might, and we're already kind of seeing this. We're going to see, in my opinion, a rotation back into tech. Again, we're slowly seeing that. Tech futures are up today. NASDAQ futures, that is. The Dow futures, they're actually down. So that leads me to believe we're seeing that rotation into tech even more, right, since the Dow is down. And you guys know the Dow's been outperforming the NASDAQ and the S&P as of late. But yeah, we're looking at the NASDAQ 100 futures here on the 4-hour. You can see here we broke the 50 SMA. Now we're about to go up to the 180 moving average, which is right around 13,250. And now we're trading about 100 points under that. So that is going to be a big spot when it comes to overall direction for the NASDAQ 100, considering we're still potentially in a bull trap, right? This could very well, keywords could end up getting rejected here. So we have to take the proper precautions. Don't go all in quite yet. But the second we end up breaking out of 13,250, 13,3, 13,4, I mean, that's going to be a very good sign that the NASDAQ wants to break out even further, the NASDAQ 100, that is. And who knows, we could end up going to the highs and then catching up to what the Dow and the S&P have been doing. Because, again, those are already at the all-time highs. Excuse me, guys. But the NASDAQ, not quite yet. Not quite there yet. So that is what I'm watching overall on the 4-hour chart when it comes to the tech-heavy index. And you guys can see it even more on the 20-day 1-hour chart, the downtrend, and the point that we need to break out of. And on the 5-day, actually, no, you can't. You can't see it on the 5-day. But watch out for the 4-hour and the 20-day chart. That's what I'm keeping an eye out on today. And when it comes to the VIX is it's hovering at about 20. And this is, I don't want to say it's alarming, but every time the VIX has gotten to the 20, 19, 50 level recently in the past 6 months, we haven't gotten under that point. So, I mean, will volatility kick up these next couple of days because of this? It very well could, which is, again, why we have to take the precautions. We have to be cautious, right? We have to have measures in place to where if the markets were to drop again, what are we going to do? You have to understand what you're going to do in that situation because, again, the VIX is it's at a low point. That is it's something worth noting and something to always keep an eye on. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And now let's get into some stocks here. Again, we do have about 2 hours left to the market open, so a lot can change from now till then. But we have Twitter. Twitter's gapping up. Twitter's up $1 pre-market. And this is one that is looking extremely good, technically speaking, which is why it is number 1 on the list this morning. And by the way, guys, I'm uploading this video on YouTube, and this is typically what I do every morning on Patreon, right? I do this every morning on Patreon for my top-tier patrons. I upload a video onto Patreon daily. So if you're interested on YouTube, if you're interested in the Patreon, check that out down below. Join the community. Again, we're doing this every single morning, and I do buy and sell alerts, call-outs, and other updates throughout the day there on Patreon. Plus, you have one-on-one access to me, so check it out, linked right down below. And Twitter here is looking pretty dang good. Twitter went from $81 recently. That was in the end of February. It went down to about 62, so it got itself in a bear market. It went down 25%. Now it's back up. It's actually bounced from 62 back to 71, pretty much covering half the ground it lost from 81 to 62. Again, that was a 25% drop. And now you guys can see, which is why I'm watching it here. Yesterday at the close, we had a very big move. Really, it wasn't at the close yesterday. It was all day yesterday. We had a big move in Twitter, and that ended up getting us out of a main moving average resistance on the 4-hour. You guys can see right around the 50 SMA. That was a good sign that we broke out of that yesterday. And today, pre-market, we're continuing that exact price action, as you guys can clearly see. Pre-market now, we're up even more. Again, like I said, up $1 per share, and we're at a big spot. I believe, and especially that we took the lows out from middle of February, that's a good sign too. I believe now we're going to be headed to the mid-70s. I mean, you can see based on what I just drew today, or right here, you can see 75 was resistance in the middle of February, stemming all up to the end of February. Then once we broke 75, that's when we saw that big candle up to 81, and we were hovering at about 78 for a little bit as well. So I believe now that we broke 70, we're in 71 pre-market. We're going, not maybe today, maybe not today, tomorrow, who knows when, but I believe Twitter has a straight shot opportunity to $75, giving it 5% upside from here. And again, I believe 75 could break, and that means there could be up to 10% upside. That is if it does get more towards the upper 70s, low $80 level. So Twitter, I love it today, guys. This is a must-watch stock, no doubt about it. And JD is another one, JD.com. I've mentioned this before, right? This is a stock that did well after earnings, which it's crazy. They had a pretty solid earnings report. The stock went up to $100, right? It filled the gap all the way from 85 to 100 quickly, guys. I'm talking in a day or two, and after earnings, it popped up to that point. So it went up 15%. Now it's all the way back down to 85, and you guys can see 85 based on this 4-hour chart, stemming back from November, October even. 85 has been a pretty decent spot to consider because, look, we've rallied, if I could talk, we've rallied from 85 to 95, 100 multiple times. So that is why I'm saying 85 has been a nice buy zone. And by the way, guys, you must do your own research. But for me, guys, when I'm looking at this, 85, I like it. Right, I could see a move coming up to the highs from about the end of November, end of December. That was at about $90. That was a resistance in that point. So I could see a move from 85, maybe a bounce back up to 90. That'd put us right around the 50 moving average here on the 4-hour. If 90 were to break, that's where the downtrend is going to test. And by that, I mean, look at the 20-day chart. 20-day chart shows us, okay, that gap to 90 is possible, but right around 90, that is where the lower high resistance is going to meet, right around the 180 SMA. And if 90 breaks, that's going to be even bigger, guys, because if 90 breaks, we're going straight back to 100. That's what I'm thinking here when it comes to JD. So watch out for that. JD.com, I like it. And another thing worth noting, Cathie Wood, although I don't piggyback her plays, I don't understand why people would do that. They might as well just invest in her ETF. I don't piggyback her plays, but I do respect her opinion, and I do look at what she does, and then I do my own research. And she's been loading up on JD. If you guys get those daily reports or updates, whatever you want to call it, from ARK, you guys know that she's been buying up some JD. Moderna is another one. It's up about $4, a little bit more, $4 and some change pre-market today. It actually ended up breaking recently above 135. 135 was a sticking point. As you guys can see here on the 4-hour, that was a high from back in the middle of January, end of January. It was also support back in the middle of December. Also support in the beginning of December. So the fact that we broke 135 is critical. We filled the gap up to 147, which is right where we are now pre-market. That is also critical considering 147 was resistance in the middle of December, and it was also a support in the end of February, early March. So that's a big point, 147. You guys can see even on this zoomed in time frame how big it is. So for me, that needs to break. And I know it's a bit overbought. It might not break. It's overbought. But I think the second it does, we might see momentum even though it is overbought, right? Sometimes the RSI, even though it's screaming overbought, the stock could still go up. That's just the reality of things. So if 147 breaks, look for 155, right around the 180 SMA here, 4-hour. I think that's where it could go. And then if it got to 140 or 155, 160, guys, I'm not chasing Moderna there. At that point, I'd be like, okay, it needs to pull back. And where would it pull back to and consolidate a little bit? Probably around 145. So I'm thinking, okay, move from 145 to 160. That could be our play for the next couple of days. And then a pullback back to 145 for some consolidation. And then we might get another play from there. So Moderna, I like it. Apple is another one. AAPL. Apple is one that held 120. We covered this on YouTube yesterday. Held 120, filled the gap up to 125. That was nice. Well, today's up to 125 pre-market. Yesterday closed a little bit under 124. And I think the big test for Apple is coming up at 126, 127. So for that reason, I'm not rushing into Apple yet. I'm not going to force money into it now, but if it breaks 127, some consolidation occurs, RSI comes back a bit, we could get overall, over time, I'm looking at this as a swing trade a couple weeks out, I think we could end up filling up to the high 130s. That's the move I'm looking for. That's about a 7-8% window, and who knows, if we gap up today, that could be in play for today. So another one is Tattooed Chef. Tattooed Chef is it's pretty much up a penny pre-market, nothing crazy. But the reason why I want to cover this today, guys, is because we're right around this 180 moving average. And I'm telling you, it could happen today, could happen tomorrow. But if we break this 180 moving average, I'm thinking 25 could come. And 25 from where we are right now is about 10% upside. That is no joke. I mean, we're not talking 1-2% upside. We're talking 10% upside. And you can clearly see, clear as day, the inverse head and shoulder here on the 20-day chart. We've covered that before on the channel. So, yeah, I mean, we peaked out of 22. That was resistance from last week. We closed above it. Now we just need to continue the uptrend, and I think based on the pattern, that is coming, and we have about 10% upside. So that's Tattooed Chef, and let's quickly, slowly wrap the video up. Sundial is another one worth watching today. Yet again, another head and shoulder, and pre-market today, it's gapping up. You guys can see it broke out of this 170 resistance we covered yesterday on Patreon, or was that the day before? Either way, we covered this on Patreon recently. It broke 170, got to about 190 pre-market today, which is crazy. Now we're back down to 175. Let's see if this tests as a new support. Let's see if we hold this higher low and end up ripping out. Maybe we go $2 on Sundial, and I typically don't cover stocks like this, penny stocks, but this MJ play is it's interesting. They have earnings coming up in 2 days, pre-market in 2 days, and we could run into those earnings, and we're already seeing some hype before earnings. So Sundial, look for this inverse head and shoulder. This could be making a move to $2, $2.25. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it got to those points. And the last one is Square, SQ. This is up, and we covered this on Patreon yesterday too, I believe, and it ended up playing out accordingly. It broke 245 or 242, filled the gap to 257, 255 like I mentioned, and now's the ultimate test. I believe, yeah, it is a bit overbought, no doubt in the short term. RSI is at 66, but I do think Square could end up ultimately, let's say we pull back today, go back to 245, that could be an entry point. But ultimately, I think if 258 to 260 breaks, that is where we're off to the races, especially if Bitcoin continues outperforming. Although Square is not a full-on Bitcoin play, it kind of moves with Bitcoin, which is it's scary, but it's good at the same time. And we saw Bitcoin go up a bunch yesterday. Let's see if that continues. I mean, look, we might end up going from 257 to 265. That's a big move, and then maybe back to 280. So overall, those are the top stocks I'm watching. Kind of some thoughts here I have on the markets. Hope you all enjoyed this video. And again, this is on YouTube. I don't put these on YouTube often because people are paying for this. So, I mean, putting it out for free would be a disservice for them, but I do upload it once or twice a month to YouTube so you guys can see what I'm doing on Patreon every single day for my top tier patron members. So make sure, if you're interested in morning update videos, buy and sell alerts, call outs, all that good stuff, check out my Patreon link down below. That's if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Patreon, shoot me a DM. Do you guys have any questions about this? We can talk in the DMs. And yeah, drop a comment on this while you're at it. Make sure to hit the like button, and I'll catch you on the next video. Good luck today. It's going to be a fun day in the markets. Let's make the best of it. Let's not rush anything, but let's jump at the opportunities that are presented to us. So yeah, good luck today, guys. Hope you all crush it. Keep up the good work. Thanks for watching again. Peace out.